Chaf Zayin Amud Aleph will begin Daf Chaf Vav Amud Beis, 4 lines from the bottom, the 2 dots. Rabbi Yehuda Merad Arba Shois. Rabbi Yehuda says that Shachris can only be recited until 4th hour of the day, 4 hours of the day. It doesn't mean till the end of the 4th hour or the beginning of the 4th hour. What is the duration of the time for davening shachris? Tanashma, let's bring a raya from the following. Rabbi Yehuda at Plaga Mincha, he said regarding Mincha, it can be daven not until the evening, but only until Plaga Mincha. Now, if you say, when he uses the terminology ad, he means not all inclusive. So it would be consistent. Whatever he said by Mincha, it would be the same thing by shachris. So over here, if we say he means ad v'loy ad bechlal, then we can see a difference between the two. If he says ad is ad all-inclusive, then ad plaga mincha would be including the period of time of plaga mincha, which would then end, that would take it to the evening. So it would be the same thing as the Rabbanan. The Rabbanan say it's till the evening. If he means ad v'ad b'chlal, all-inclusive, meaning it would be including the period of time of plaga mincha, then it would terminate at the evening, and that's the same as the Rabbanan. So therefore, if you say ad v'loy ad b'chlal, hainu dika ben Rabbi Yehuda l'Rabbanan, we understand the difference. Ad v'ad b'chlal, Rabbi Yehuda hainu Rabbanan, they're saying the same thing. Doesn't this show you clearly that when he means ad v'loy ad b'chlal, and therefore that would mean in the morning it would be consistent, and it would mean to the beginning of the 4th hour, but not including the 4th hour. It would mean only 3 hours of the day. That's what this would imply. Frag the Gemara, Elamai ad v'loy ad b'chlal. Elamai, what do you want us to prove? That when he said ad, the terminology means not all-inclusive. It's v'loy ad b'chlal. If that's the case, then we have a problem with the Seifa. V'sham musaf and kol hayom. He says musaf is the entire day. Rabbi Yehuda Omer ad sheva shois. The Chachamim say musaf is the entire day. Rabbi Yehuda says only till 7 hours of the day. And we learned in the Bryce, if he had 2 tefillos to daven at the same time, they coincided together. One was Musaf and one is Mincha. Now, he's in the same time period, he has to choose. Should he daven Mincha or should he daven Musaf? So what does he do? Mispal shel Mincha v'achar shel Musaf. He davens Mincha first and then he davens Musaf. Why? Shizu Tadira, because Mincha is every day. It's more common. It's Tadir. Vizu Eina Tadira. Musaf is not every day. And the rule is Tadir Sheina Tadir, Tadir Kaidim. So he davens Mincha first. Rabbi Yehuda Omer Mispal shel Musaf, but Rabbi Yehuda says no. He should choose. He should daven Musaf first. V'achar kach shel Mincha, and only then Mincha. Why? Because Shazu Oiveres, Shazu Ein Oiveres. Because we have a problem that Musaf it has only a limited time, a more limited time than Mincha does. So therefore, Rabbi Yehuda L'shit Tosai, he holds that since the Musaf has a more limited time, therefore you should choose the Musaf, even though it's not Tadir compared to Mincha, but nevertheless, because of the fear that he might miss it, it might pass the time limit, he should daven Musaf first. Now, so how does this relate to our discussion? If you say when he uses the terminology of ad, it means all-inclusive, then you would have 2 tefillas that come at the same time. If it's ad b'chlal, that means when he says by musaf, it's ad sheva shois, would mean till the end of the 7th hour. And then I understand how it would be that you would have mincha and musaf in the same time period. Meaning, it's after 6.5 hours of the day. One could daven mincha at that time. And musaf, if it's ad b'chlal, he can daven until the 7th hour, and therefore meaning the end of the 7th hour. So you have the 2 that will be in the same time period. So then I understand how you have the two tefillahs come simultaneously at the same time period. But if you, as you maintain, that the terminology of ad is how are you going to ever have that mincha and musaf come at the same time period? Came with the asale shel mincha. Mincha is only after 6.5 hours of the day. Now, if musaf, when he said ad sheva shos, means beginning of the 7th hour, meaning the end of the 6th hour. So came with asale shel mincha. Once it's 6.5 hours of the day, asale shel musafim. It's no longer the time of musaf. So therefore, doesn't that prove that it's ad va'ad b'chlal? That when he said al, he means all inclusive. It's ad b'chlal. Elamai ad va'ad b'chlal. Elamai, it's as you're suggesting that you want to prove from here that when he said al ad, it means all inclusive. It's ad b'chlal. Then we have the previous kasha comes back, kasha reisha. Ma'ike ben Rabbi Yehuda l'Rabbanan. If that's the case, then we have the kasha from before. If the Rabbanan say it's till the evening, and Rabbi Yehuda says that mincha is ad plaga mincha, meaning including plaga mincha, then it seems to be that's the same time period. It's till the end of the day. No, the Gemara says no. Mi yisavra the high plug mincha plaga achrayna kamar. No. Really, I'll tell you that ad is ad v'ad b'chlal. It's all inclusive. Musav ad sheva shos means including the 7th hour. Mincha ad plaga mincha means until including the plaga mincha, but it doesn't mean as you assumed that the second plag, it means till the end of the first plag. It's means over high plag achrayna kamar. No, plag rishayna kamar. It means the first plag, meaning, as we said before, plaga mincha. The mincha ketana is from 9.5 hours of the day. There's 2.5 hours left of the day. 9.5 plus 2.5 is 12. If you take the plug, that means that each component is an hour and a quarter. What he meant to say is ad plaga mincha, it means to the end of 9.5 plus 1.25, the end of 10 hours and 3/4, till the end of the first plug. Not like you assume till the end of the second plug, which takes you to the evening. No, it's till the end, ad plaga mincha, including plaga mincha, which means 11 hours less a quarter, 10 3/4 days. That's what it means, to the end of the first plug. Mi savar the high plug mincha plug achrayna kamar. No, plug rishayna kamar v'hachi kamar. A mas nafik plug rishayna v'al plug achrayna michi nafik yudalav shos chasaruvia. When is it that the first plug is over and the second one begins? 10 3/4 hours of the day, and then up until then is when you can daven mincha. So the difference is that Yehuda holds mincha until 10 3/4 of the day, and the Rabbanan hold till the end of the day, till the end of the 12th hour of the day. But ad is ad bichlal, and musaf is till the end of the 7th hour of the day. Now we learned accordingly, Rabbi Yehuda ben Bavahayid Chamisha Dvorim. So we're going to have 5 things that he was made, that he testified to, and one of them would be relevant to our halacha as to how long you can daven shachris. One of them will be that it says, according to Rabbi Yehuda, you can daven shachris the 4th hour of the day. So you can daven during the 4th hour of the day. That shows clearly that when he said ad, it's ad b'chlal. Shachris can be till the end of the 4th hour of the day. But we'll go through the 5 things that he was made. So he was made chamisha dvorim. He was made on 5 things. Number 1 is shememanim es a katana. A katana who, if her father married her off, that's a kiddushin d'oraisa. She's married min atayr. However, her father died. The Rabbanan instituted that the mother or the brother could marry her off, but that's not kiddushin d'oraisa. And when she becomes of age, she can annul that marriage, and it's as if she was never married. Now, in a scenario where 2 brothers married 2 sisters, the Rabbanan encouraged her to be mamayan and annul the marriage. So what is the case? It's as follows. 2 brothers married 2 sisters. One married one of the women a kiddushin d'oraisa. The second one married a katana, and the kiddushin is d'rabbanan. Now the one who married the kiddushin d'oraisa, he died. Then his wife falls to yibum. Now the living brother cannot be miyabim her because he's married to his sister. to her sister rather. So you can't be meyabim her. And now you can't remain with his wife either, because she is the sister of this woman that fell to him to Yibam. It's the Achais Yivimta. So we encourage her to be Mamayan, to annul the marriage. It's as if he was never married to this Kitana. And then the widow, the Yavama falls to him to Yibam, and he can be Miyabam her. So in this case, we encourage Miyun to annul the marriage retroactively, so that it's as if he was never married to this Katana, to this sister. His brother's widow, the Yavama, now falls to him to Yibum, and he's Miyabum her. That's one din that he was made. Another din that he was made is Shemasin Esaish al Pi Eid Ech. A woman that they specified that her husband died, normally you would need 2 Eidim, but for Takanas Aguna, they were Mekel, and they said that even 1 Eid who testified that the woman's husband died, she's now free to marry, and it's relying on the fact that she'll be Dayako Mitzvah, she will examine it thoroughly as to not become Asr and have all the terrible consequences if in fact he did not die. So they relied on her investigation plus this 1 aid to allow her to marry based on the testimony of only 1 aid that the husband died. The third din is Valtanagal Shaniskal B'Yerushalayim al Shaharigas Hanefesh. So we know by the Torah says by a shor haniskal, if a shor gores an ox, gores a person and kills him, the shor has to be stoned, has to be killed. We learn out of Gzera Shava that applies to other animals as well. And they were made on a chicken, a tarnagal, that a pectin killed a person, that they gave the tarnagal skilo. The next din is Val Yayin ben Arbaim Yaim Shenis Nasach al Gab Mizbeach. Wine that's used for Nisuch HaMizbeach, Menasach HaMizbeach, has to be wine that has shechar, that can intoxicate. Pressed wine, it was pressed after 40 days, it's reached a level where we can call it shechar, that can be used for Nisuch HaYain on the Mizbeach. Well, Talmud Shel Shachar Shekara Bar B'Shois. So one of the other Eduyus that he testified was that the Talmud Shel Shachar, they were makraved in the 4th hour. They were makraved in the 4th hour. The Talmud Shel Shachar is Talmud, the one was in the morning, but Boiker, and that's called Boiker. So Man Tana Lahadisan, or the Tana Rabbanan, who's the following Tana that says, Agabi the Man, L'cham Hashemesh V'Namas, that they collected the man in the midbar in the morning. That's what the pasuk says, Babaikir, and it says, then when it melted, when the sun grew hot, the man melted. They no longer collected it. So what hour of the day is it when it's considered the sun was hot? Ba'ar b'shois. That's the 4th hour of the day. Maybe it means noon. No, Kishu Omer, it says elsewhere, Kichayim Hayayim, the heat of the day, Harei Omer. The heat of the day is at noon. The Cham Hashemesh, the heat of the sun, is in the 4th hour. Meaning the heat of the day is when it's hot all over. That's the heat of the day. When it's Cham Hashemesh means it's in the sun. When one is in the sun, it's hot. But in the shade, it's cooler. It's cool. It's not hot. So it's not noon where it's hot everywhere. It's the heat of the sun. When one is in the sun, it's hot. If it's one in the shade, it's cool. So when is that time? What is that time? That's the 4th hour of the day. So this implies over here that they collected, Bnei Israel and the Midbar collected the man up until the 4th hour. That's considered morning. They collected the man in the morning. Babaikir. They collected in the morning. And therefore, it's mashma that the 4th hour of the day is no longer morning. So who is this man Tomer? Mani. Loi Rabbi Yehuda v'loi Rabbanan. Rabbi Yehuda ad Arba Shois namit safru. It's according to Rabbi Yehuda, he holds that the 4th hour is also considered morning. You can daven shachris on the 4th hour, like we just said, ad vad b'chlal. And Rabbanan ad chatzois namit safru. And according to Rabbanan, it extends all the way to noon. They say that up until noon, one can daven shachris. For the Gemara, it could be even according to the Rabban, because Amar Kra, Babiker, Babiker. Here the pasuk doesn't simply say Babiker. It's not like by the Talmud where it says Esakeves Halachatasa Babiker. It says Babiker, Babiker. So therefore, Chalkel Shnei B'Karim, it means divided into 2 mornings. They collected in the first half of the morning. The entire morning, according to the Rabbanan, is 6 hours. It's until noon. Divided 3 hours and 3 hours. It was collected Babiker, the first half of the morning until the end of the 3rd hour. And by saying Rabbi Yehuda, even could be according to Rabbi Yehuda, Hi Biker Yisera, it says Babiker. Doesn't mean to split it into 2. It means Lahakim Le'Shoachas. It means make it early. It is earlier by 1 hour. Really, Biker, according to Rabbi Yehuda, is 4 hours. Babiker tells you it was earlier by 1 hour, only to the end of the 3rd hour. The Kuli Alma, however, according to everybody, they in any event hold v'chamesh shemesh v'namas ba'ara b'shois is the 4th hour. My mashma, how do we learn out that it's the 4th hour? Rav Yaakov, Amar Prova, chamesh shemesh v'namas, ezo isho shemesh chamat zel tzaynen. It says v'chamesh shemesh. It's only the sun is hot. What is the hour when it's in the sun? It's hot. In the shade, it's cool. Amilaymer ba'ara b'shois is the 4th hour. Tfilas Mincha can be recited till the evening on the layer of Chisel Rav Yisrael Halsam, Rav Kana Lachik Rav Yehuda Harlos on the Befeita Kavas. Ilagami Shachris, we learned that it's until 4 hours because we learned in the Sechus like Rav Yehuda. Hachamai, what is the din Lagabe Mincha? Is it till the evening like the Rabbanan, or until Laga Mincha like Rav Yehuda? What's halach Ishtik? He was by Balam meeting. He didn't answer. Rav Chisda Nechse not. Let's examine it ourselves. Midarav Masli Shal Shabbos B'Rav Shabbos Mibai Jaim Rav Daven the Tfil of Shabbos. Erev Shabbos in Mibai Jaim, it was still daytime, and he davened the Tfil of Shabbos, meaning the Tfil of Marav Mibai Jaim Shema Mino Halach Rav Yehuda. Doesn't that show you that the halachs are Rav Yehuda? Because otherwise, how can he daven when it was still light? Must be that he holds that mincha is until Plaga Mincha, and after Plaga Mincha, even though it's before the nighttime, one can still daven Marav. No, other Ravim, the Rav Huna, Rabbanan, we see from Huna Rabban, Lo Yavam Matzla Ad Urta, they did not daven until the nighttime. Shema Mina Ein Halach like Rav Yehuda. The halach Mashma that Lav was not like Rav Yehuda, and as Rishonim speak out, because if one could daven earlier. One certainly could daven at nighttime, but if one could daven earlier, presumably they would have davened early because there's a mitzvah of Taisa Shabbos, to be Makrim Shabbos, to add on to the Shabbos. The fact that they davened at the nighttime, that shows you that's because one cannot daven before the nighttime. Doesn't that show you that Allah is not like Rabbi Yehuda? So it says, since it was not resolved, David Kimar Aved, Mudavid Kimar Aved. One can follow either approach, and since it's not been resolved conclusively, one can follow either Rabbi Yehuda or Rabbanan, but as the Rishonim point out, one must be consistent. One cannot jump back and forth between them. Rav Iklu Be Geniva, he went to the place of Geniva with Sali Shal Shabbos, Berav Shabbos, he davened, the Shabbos to get davening, Marav, he davened when it was still light time, it was still Erev Shabbos. And Rabbi Yerubba'al was davening behind him, behind Rav. V'siyam Rav v'lei paskel etzlusei the Rav Yirmeh. And Rav finished his Shemon Esrei, but he did not go back and go within close to Rav Yirmeh to interrupt. He did not interrupt Rav Yirmeh by going back and going close to him. So Shema Mino, we learn out from here 3 halachos. Shema Mino mispalam shel Shabbos b'erev Shabbos. Number 1, we learn out that one can daven shel Shabbos earlier. Shema Mino, that mispal talmud acharei rabba, that it's not considered disrespectful if a talmud davens behind his rebbe. Shema Mino also lavar keneged mispalim. And we see from here that you cannot pass by in front of someone who's davening. You cannot pass by in front of his tefillah. It would be interrupting him. You're not allowed to pass by, and that's why Rav waited and he did not go back. It's a proof of Levi also lavar keneged mispalim. One cannot go keneged to mispalim to pass in front of him. So they did pass in front. For the Gemara, it was outside dalar. Meaning, we say you cannot go back into close to the person davening back of you. You cannot pass in front of the person davening. It means if you're within his dalar amas. If you're outside the dalar amas area, then it would be permitted.